All right, party people. We're popping in for another episode of Pop Talk. This is your man, Professor Nen. I'm signing on with Coach Dave, Boston Jarrett.
Peace.
All right, we are without the casual ramble. We make up the pundits of pugilism. We want to make sure that you do like and subscribe to this channel, giving you the most erudite commentary on boxing today on the internet. And we want to talk about some of the latest development for your man, the undisputed, two-time undisputed, but currently undisputed welterweight champion, even though I think they might have tried to take some of his belts away. But we know who the real man is. Terrence Crawford, who was set up to rematch Errol Spence after the beatdown that he gave him this past summer 23. But Errol Spence elected to, which was probably needed, elected to get eye surgery, cataract surgery. So this essentially made the rematch clause null and void. And from what we're hearing, and I'll let my man Boston kind of delve into it a little bit more, is that Terrence Crawford is currently pursuing a super welterweight bout, or a light middleweight bout against Tszyu. I'm also hearing that this is going to happen in Saudi Arabia too. But Boston, just kind of give us your impressions on me. Do you think that this is just a little bit of talk, murmur, or do you think that this is something that will come to fruition?
Yeah, you know what? In terms of whether or not it comes to fruition, we'll have to see. You know, the politics of boxing seems to constantly shoot itself in the foot. Tszyu, if I'm not mistaken, does have a rock solid relationship with the PBC and with Al Heyman, which now apparently is locked into some sort of broadcast deal with Amazon Prime. Terrence Crawford, as far as his relationship with PBC, I'm not sure exactly what the nature of it is. I'm not sure how far or to what extent that relationship extended or extends beyond the Errol Spence fight. Now that the Errol Spence fight is off the table, I don't know what Bud's contractual relationship is with PBC. And if you're PBC and Bud doesn't have that contractual relationship with you, you're not going to be inclined to do the guy any favors. You're going to want to make in-house fights. So until the nature of that relationship becomes clear, whether or not this fight actually happens or not is going to be up in the air. We're just not going to know. What was the other question you asked?
And essentially that was it. We're just talking about the prospects of that fight at that point. But I want to bring in.
Not. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. I want to bring in Coach whatnot. Do you like this move for Terrence Crawford? So from my understanding, this would be the first time that he fights at a weight class above 147 pounds at welterweight. And then his first bout is going to be against a champion, a pretty hard punching champion, Tszyu. There is some, compared to Terrence Crawford, there is some skill deficiency there. But do you like this bout and this route for Terrence Crawford?
I do. I mean, I like the route, man. And what belt does this guy got? The
WBO.
Right. And so does Charlo have the other three? Or Charlo has two of them, right?
He has two of them, and I'm not sure what. I think the IBF is kind of.
The IBF is vacant, so the IBF Jamel Charlo, and they are now going to have a Mortazaliev Kolkai are going to fight a vacant title bout for that IBF belt.
Yeah. So look, so regardless of like I hear what Boston was saying about PBC, and that makes 100% sense, man. But I think this, the sky's open for this guy at that weight class, man. If he go up to 154, yeah. If he can get that fight with Tszyu, fine. But I think if he can get that, that vacant shot, whoever's the top ranked in the IBF, at 154. I mean, I don't know, whoever it might be, man, Lubin or what's the cat name, Brackham or Backham or
Well,
whatever.
it's going to be a Bakhram Mortazaliev and Jack Kolkai are going to fight for that IBF.
So I just think that route across the board, if he can get any of those champions, be great, and Charlo's performance against, Canelo, I think Crawford is going to be undisputed at 154 sooner or later.
Yeah, I think that's what he's eyeing.
Yeah.
Like, I think if Crawford had his druthers, he would take on Tszyu, beat him, go get those other 2 belts, and then unify. And then I mean, it wouldn't happen for maybe a couple of years to do all that, but then go after Saul Alvarez, Canelo Alvarez. I mean, that would be yeah. I mean, it's a pipe dream, but
that's far fetched.
But so does anybody see any kind of not a trap, but is this Terrence Crawford biting off a little bit too much? So one thing you want to say is that he's 36 years old. Tim Tszyu was 29 years old. Tim Tszyu fought 3 times last year against really good competition. He was actually one of our honorable mention for Fight of the Year. And then in the last 4 years, Terrence Crawford has only fought once a year. That was in 19 and 20. Excuse me, I think that was in 20 and 21, 22 and 23. He's only fought once a year. So he's somebody, so for the last 4 or 5 years, he only fights once a year. He's, I think by the time, when does he turn 37? So he won't turn 37 until September. So he'll be, 36 years old. But do you see, because some fighters get old overnight. I mean, do you see that there's any possibility of a massive upset, right? This would just kind of reshape the landscape of boxing if a Tim Tszyu was able to beat a Terrence Crawford.
If you ask me about a massive upset, my answer is no. I don't see it. But I will say, to your point, Father Time catches up with anybody, and so I like the fact that Crawford is select and taking his time and not putting that much wear and tear on his body. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And why?
So you see the opposite of it. Okay.
Right. So I like that. So just coming from a coach's angle, as I'm looking at my fighter, like, I don't think he need to waste any time going back to fighter boots to try to get the belts to be undisputed in the division that he was already undisputed in. That makes no.
Let's come back to that. I want to make sure that we address that, fans. Let's make sure we come back to the boots.
That makes sense. And I told y'all before, hey, look, man, loot a legacy. This guy is closing out his career, got an opportunity to be 3-time undisputed in 3 different divisions. So
4-division champion. 4-division champion.
I don't know what the man is thinking. You know what I'm saying? So, but I like that. I like him at 154. I do think that, to Jared's point though, man, I hope he does get Tszyu. Whoever gets that IBF, I hope he gets that. If by chance there's folks that's willing to put up the money, and we know sometimes Saudis will put up the money or whatever, man, if he could get 2 fights in a year, if he could get Tszyu, then if he could get that IBF, whoever wins that title, and then turn around and then let's try to get this thing done. It could be done. Then he can sell on, into glory land. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of that, Cam, you had mentioned that you had seen something about this fight potentially landing in Saudi Arabia. What was?
That was on Boxing News 24.
All right. Well, say what you. Okay. I'm not a big Boxing News 24 guy.
But it was from the same guy who's I guess for the most part. But I mean, there wasn't a lot of details around it. They just said that they heard that the Saudis are vying to put on this bout, which they're they're trying to put on any kind of meaningful bout, right?
They are certainly throwing a lot of money around. Okay, I just want to make, because we did kind of we led with the fact that this might end in Saudi Arabia. So this is purely speculative at this point. Some guy on whoever a guy who wrote an article on Boxing News 24 mentioned that. That's where you
Yeah.
got that from, to be clear. Okay. Okay.
But
So just
one thing I
so
want
we're
to
clear.
Yeah, one thing I do want to say before you go there, I think that because this is the era after Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao I'd refer to, but I think that Terrence Crawford is vying to be the fighter of this generation. I think that Inoue is somebody that's going to have a legacy that continues on afterwards, but I think that right, he's probably it's him and Canelo are the only kind of two fighters that you can really have an argument about as far as this fighters of this generation. If we're looking at this generation as the generation after Pacquiao and Mayweather, so I mean I would say being, if he's undisputed at 3 different weight classes, I mean, this is something that will get him talk about a top 20 fighter, in lifetime. And so and I don't think
For
it
accolades, for
ridiculous.
accolades, right? Not
Yeah.
not for strength of opposition. Let's be clear. Let's be clear about that. And accolades versus strength of opposition can be almost two different categories when it comes to evaluating the career of a fighter, right? I mean, at least that's my position, right?
I mean, it is, but I mean, that's why it's hard to when you do these all-time things, because, for example, a lot of people would put, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily do it, but I think when we talk about strength of competition, then I think somebody like a Tyson Fury, I don't think he could ever crack the top 10 as far as
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
greatest heavyweights, right? Because of that,
no, absolutely
he
not.
could never do that. Particularly when you think about the era that had Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe, and I mean, these are some we can kind of go through the list, and then we're not even talking about the golden age of heavyweight.
Yeah, with the list, with the
Ali,
listings and
Frazier,
Ali and Patterson,
and all of that. So, but so but you can only fight the fighters that are available to you, and I think if he becomes the only fighter who is undisputed at 3 different weight divisions.
Well, he wouldn't be the only guy. He wouldn't be the only guy. There have been several guys who have done that.
Well,
but
in the four belt era. Excuse me, in the four belt
era. Okay.
In the 4 belt era. So, but
it's definitely, it's a serious accomplishment. Yeah, it definitely is. It's going to be tough. I don't see him going for undisputed at 154. I think he's in the, a coach has to say loot or legacy. I think he's more in the loot stage of his career right now. And if the legacy just so happens to line up with that, I think that's just the cherry on top of the Sunday for him.
I agree.
The winner of
Bakram
Jack Kolkai has no shot of landing a Terrence Crawford fight, right?
No.
That's that. No. I even think at this point, a guy like Jamel Charlo is going to be hard pressed to land that Terrence Crawford fight. I mean,
you think so?
Oh yeah, I mean, not to mention, despite the fact that he's coming off of a horrible performance, we never talked about it because we don't talk about that type of shit on our show. But he's got this outside the ring drama that's brewing now, and 2 of those things, the WBC is all about optics and outside the ring shit, right? Don't be surprised if you see this guy get stripped. I mean, I think Jamel Charlo is. That's a far-fetched fight at this point. I would not be.
Who's fighting what? Who's fighting for that IBF?
It's going to be Jack Kolkai and Bakram Mortazalia are going to fight a vacant title fight for that. Jack Kolkai is a guy that's been around boxing for forever, right? Kolkai is a guy that fought Demetrius Andrade in Germany way back in the day. He's one of these guys kind of like Austin Trout, who's always been kind of right there on the cusp, been in a lot of tough fights with name guys, but never was able to get over the edge. I thought he beat Derevianchenko, to be fair. He's a solid guy, but not a guy that's gonna be on Terrence Crawford's radar, and neither is this guy.
But let's, and
But
going back to Charlo, what fight would bring Charlo more money than a fight against Terrence Crawford?
It's not about the fight bringing the money. I mean, that probably is the most lucrative fight for him, but it's a matter of whether or not Crawford wants to fight a guy like Charlo now, coming off of a shitty performance.
I think he wants to fight him. I
Yeah.
mean,
he said himself he said himself he didn't want to. I mean, why not fight him now? Charlo's got 2 belts. Tszyu's got 1. Why not go right
let
after
him do that.
Charlo?
So I mean, part of that is to gain some leverage, right? So part of it, a lot of times they kind of, because everything you're always negotiating, right? So a lot of people like to negotiate through the press and stuff. But for Terrence Crawford, he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna fight any of those up and coming young bucks at 147 pounds or whatnot. So,
yeah, let's make sure we come back to that, because I know that's kind of the elephant in the room.
With Tszyu, I think it's a bit of a dangerous fight, but it's a very winnable fight. And I think that he obviously had, and I think we've seen it too. He's obviously seen something in Jermell Charlo where he feels that he can go out there and really
smoke him
and take this guy to school, and then he will be. I mean, we're looking for a face of boxing, at this, which I know your man Tank wants to claim that mantle, but
it ain't Abdul Wahid.
He needs to stay out of jail too. You know what I'm saying? So
we ain't gonna be Terrence Crawford. No, Terrence Crawford. That time is come and gone. If he wanted to ever be the face of boxing, that time is come and gone. So that's going to be out the question.
I still say if Crawford beats Tszyu, you know what I'm saying, and whichever one of those cats win the IBF, in order to fight for unification, undisputed or whatever, I think the sanctioning authorities do what they're gonna do if people pushing right, man. I don't see how it can't happen. If champions are trying to fight champions across the 4-belt era, how can it, if we're trying to get the undisputed, I don't see how it can't happen. Now,
I mean, politics, the reason a lot of these fights don't happen. I mean, Crawford's gonna want a lot of money, and Crawford's gonna have to fight on a network. Crawford might have to sign a deal with somebody in order to A, get the money he wants, and B, fight on a network. And I don't know that anyone's going to pay Crawford what he might want for a unification fight against Bakram Murtazalia or Jack Kolkai. I mean,
well, yeah, against them, no, but against a Crawford, I could see that.
What do you mean against? You mean against Charlo?
I mean, yeah, against Crawford. I mean, against a Charlo.
Yeah, maybe Charlo lays low and he resolves whatever outside the ring stuff happens. Maybe he gets a win against maybe a Lubin or somebody who's ranked in one of those 2 sanctioned bodies.
Well,
and maybe
he slept Lubin previously already.
He did, but he's going to have to get himself a win to get back on Crawford's radar. Crawford tweeted right after that Charlo Canelo fight that he's not even considering Charlo anymore. Like it's not even he disqualified Charlo. So Charlo gonna have to do something to get back on Crawford's radar.
All right,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, and we'll kind of. But let's to close this out. Let's you wanted to double back and kind of talk about the
let's make sure we address this Boots Ennis shit, right? Because there are certain YouTube boxing personalities that would have you believe that Terrence Crawford is somehow scared of Boots Ennis and that he's ducking Boots Ennis and a bunch of bullshit. These are the same guys, by the way, who were Team Errol Spence, right? Who were hanging off of Errol Spence's jock strap, talking shit, guys. These same guys who would talk bad about Crawford for years, right? They weren't Boots fans before when Boots was Errol Spence's mandatory, but Crawford beats the brakes off of Spence, and now these guys are Boots fans, right? Now these guys want Crawford to fight Boots. In a fight, to be clear, as a boxing fan, I would love to see, right? Let me be 100% clear about that. As a boxing fan, I would much rather see Crawford fight Boots than Tim Tszyu. Now the Charlo fight in the Boots fight is kind of a toss-up for me. Give me either one of those fights. But look, professionally speaking, I can understand that the Boots fight is absolutely meaningless for Crawford. Professionally speaking, the Boots fight is meaningless for Crawford. Fighting a guy for a belt he already won against a guy who essentially still has the resume of a prospect. I mean, Boots has a prospect level resume with what? He's got 40 some odd fights. How many fights does Boots have? 45 fights, 44 fights, something like that.
Yeah. Well, let me see, because he has.
How many you pulling up
I
now?
also want to say that we can get it also from the horse's mouth, because Terrence Crawford has made a statement about that fight. This was in November, but it's still relevant. So no, so Ennis he only has 31 fights. He's 31-0 with 28 KOs. He's currently, according to ESPN, he's ranked third, but he'll move up to second with Errol Spence kind of being kind of a Maritai at this point, dealing with his injury.
What do you mean? Who's gonna move up?
Ennis he's gonna move it, because ESPN has Crawford, Spence, and then Ennis. Then Ennis is gonna move up because Crawford is gonna kind of fall out because of
in terms of what, ESPN's welterweight rankings?
Yeah.
I see. I thought you meant within the sanctioning body. I was gonna say no, Boots has got a belt.
No. Yeah.
What was the tweet?
About ESPN. So
I think I know what tweet you're talking about.
Well, no, this was an actual interview. But this happened back in November, but this is still fairly fresh, after his dismantling of Errol Spence and Crawford. So this was after he was recently stripped of his IBF belt. I think because Ennis was his kind of mandatory, so he was awarded the belt when Crawford didn't face him in a mandatory bout. And he said, listen, like I said, Jerron is in one place, I'm in another. I'm looking for mega fights right now, and right now that's not a mega fight. That's my standpoint on it. I'm looking to fight guys like Canelo Alvarez. That's pretty much it, man. And a rematch with Spence, and that's it. That's over with for me. So, I mean, that's where he stands on it, and I'm not mad at him. This guy's really put himself in a position to go after not only loot, but the fights that are going to actually add to his legacy, right? Because there's not like both of those things can be in alignment, right? In a sense. So Coach, I mean, what do you think about his choice to not fight Jerron Ennis at this point?
Yeah, man. I'm with it, man. I'm glad Boston, put it out there. Crawford ain't scared of that, man. You know what I'm saying? Not saying it wouldn't be a tough fight, but I think Crawford still would dust him, but I'm hoping it falls like Boston said too, man. Like, yeah, I'm not mad at him for looking for that loot as he's, coming on the tail end of his stuff. And if it happens and he can get the legacy in, I would love to see him unified. I mean, get undisputed, at 150.
So that'll be beautiful. Yeah.
I'm hoping again that
the boxing guides send some blessings.
Saudi guys throw that money on up in there.
That's what it's gonna be. It ain't gonna be guys. It's gonna be Turki Alo Sheikh who makes that shit happen, man. Yeah.
excellency over there to throw that money together, boy.
And let me make one last point, maybe not the last point, but this is the nature of the sport, right? If we go back and look at any number of points in boxing history, you will see a hot young prospect who is calling out the established veteran, right? Floyd Mayweather called out Shane Mosley for years, right?
Yeah.
Didn't get that fight until the very, very end of Shane Mosley's career. Luckily for Floyd, Shane hung around long enough for that fight to happen. Aaron Pryor called out Ray Leonard and Duran for years.
Yeah, never got
Duran and Leonard were trying to fight each other. Those guys were chasing down bigger money fights. Pryor got the opportunity, turned down what he thought was a low ball offer, never ever saw the opportunity to fight Leonard or Duran again. Mike McCallum called out Hearns and Leonard for years, never ever got to fight. But McCallum was a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, you could go back in boxing all the way back to the 40s and 50s, and a guy like Charlie Burley. Charlie Burley never got the Ray Robinson fight. That's going way in the way back machine. So this isn't something that's unique in boxing. This has happened before. It'll always happen again. Boots is going to have to make his own lane. And Crawford is probably not going to be part of that lane. He's going to have to figure it out. He's going to figure out his own path in the sport, make his own plans, and plan for Terrence Crawford to not be part of that path, part of that plan. It's unfortunate for the young man, but that's the way it is. That's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, I think
it's happened to other people who are more prolific, who are in better positions than him. Okay, to be clear.
And like you say, he doesn't have his resume still needs some work. You know, he needs to work on his CV.
And that's being kind.
Yeah, and there's still fights. Well, I'll take that back. I was gonna say there's still that fight with Virgil Ortiz out there, but I believe Virgil has moved up.
Virgil's moved up. When Virgil's moved up, the division has become a no man's land. Just like that. It was the hottest division in the sport a year ago, and now this shit is a no man's land. Boots was offered an opportunity to fight over at Matchroom. That was in the news. We kind of missed that. We were all off during the holidays when this news broke. But Eddie Hearn has made offers to Boots Ennis. And
I was gonna say don't be surprised if they try to match him up with somebody like a Josh Taylor, particularly if they're trying to cash out on somebody like a Josh Taylor.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Boots and his father Bozy, they're gonna have to bust a move here, man. All this, we're loyal to Showtime and we're loyal to. I mean, what has that gotten you? At the end of the day, you need to see results. These are professional. These are business relationships, right? That should be mutually beneficial. And if one side is benefiting and the other side isn't, or if neither side is benefiting, and it's in your best interest to pursue another business endeavor. To me, it should be business. It shouldn't be personal, you know? So, I mean, how long are you going to hang around there fighting the Lipinetses and the Chris Van Heerdens and the Thomas Delormes of the world? How long are you willing to accept those types of fights? You from this town, you from Philly, that's supposed to be this boxing mecca, right? Supposed to be boxing headquarters and Philly this and Philly that, all these dudes, but you fighting in Atlantic City at a church. Come on, man. Like you gotta do something. You gotta do something, Boots. You gotta do something.
All right. So with that said, Coach, do you have anything that you want to add? Any chair you want to put on top of this? Boxing
Yeah, man.
Sunday.
Not a lot really, man. I just, I just can't wait to see what shakes out with my man Crawford, man. I can't wait to see what shakes out with him. And I agree with what Jared said on Boots, man. I mean, go lump up Thurman or something, man. Go Connor Ben or somebody, man. Just
Yeah, you might see a Conor Benn fight. You might
you
see
know,
a Conor Benn fight.
say go do something, man. But it was good, man. It was good talking to y'all. Joking again. Happy New Year, man.
Absolutely, man. We want to thank y'all for rocking with the Pundits of Pugilism. Make sure that you like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.
Peace.